Game 2, Angels and Red Sox at Fenway Park on a beautiful night. And Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz preparing for their shot tonight at Kelvin Escobar. The Red Sox batting order: Dustin Pedroia, the rookie second baseman, leads off. Kevin Youkilis homered in Game 1. So did Ortiz. Manny Ramirez, the cleanup hitter. Mike Lowell, then J.D. Drew, Jason Varitek, Coco Crisp, and Julio Lugo. The bottom three, 7, 8, and 9 in this lineup, have all done well in their career against Escobar. Something to watch tonight. So after the Angels made Matsuzaka throw 31 pitches, they don't score. And now they hope that Escobar has it together as he delivers strike one to Pedroia.
Escobar can be overpowering, as you can see, won 18 games. Lackey won one more, but a lot of people will tell you that Escobar all season long was a little more consistent. We'll take a look at the scouting report. He can top out that fastball at 95, has an excellent splitter, and his straight change is becoming one of his best pitches.
31-year-old native of Venezuela, Pedroia chopping one. It's gloved by Asturias. And so Pedroia, who was hitless in 4 at-bats in his postseason debut in Game 1, is retired here.
The key to the good changeup for Escobar and the splitter is that they all come out of the same arm slot, so the hitter can't read a fastball or the changeup or the splitter. And you move the changeup back in your hand, you use the same arm velocity and the same arm release, and the ball just doesn't get there.
Now Kevin Youkilis, who had his first postseason hit, first inning Wednesday night, a home run, takes strike one here. Youkilis got hit by a pitch on his wrist on September 15. He was out 10 days, and there was concern as to how ready he might be for this beginning of the postseason. Looked pretty ready.
Well, Youkilis said that it wasn't without soreness, but it wasn't sore enough to keep him out of the postseason.
Youkilis, always a patient hitter, gets his stance as far back in the right-hand batter's box. There's always one hitter that early in the game will erase the back line of the batter's box. You can see the right-hand batter's box, it's already gone. Just a little remnant of it there on the inside corner. Two.
Well, Escobar throws from the extreme first base side of the rubber. Figures it gives him a much better angle to the right-hand hitters. That's where he feels comfortable. Every pitcher uses a different spot. You can see where Escobar sets up. And when his splitter is right, you just have no chance with it.
On the velocity there, 98, but it's ball 3. With Poppy waiting. Boy, is that a Youkilis at bat? No fear of being behind in the count, 0-2, and calmly works his way to a walk.
Well, you've got to throw him strikes because he's not going to swing at anything out of the zone. And Wednesday night, with a 1-0 lead, John Lackey rolled a breaking ball, and Big Poppy rolled it on out of there, making the lead 3-0. And for Josh Beckett, he only needed 1. He wound up getting 4.
So Ortiz, who had a fabulous month of September, kept it going with the home run in the 3rd inning Wednesday night. His 9th career postseason home run, ties him with Jason Varitek for the most in Red Sox history. As Ortiz fouls it away, the man on deck, Manny Ramirez, by comparison, 20 career postseason home runs.
Well, David Ortiz has never had much luck with Kelvin Escobar, and that's been somewhat surprising. He's only hit 167 against him. Just 4 hits. One of them left the ballpark. He's driven in 3. If you can hold down Ortiz and Ramirez, and that's essentially what Escobar has done, you usually have a pretty good shot against the Red Sox.
Ortiz takes 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now they've got the shift on him, so they have the 3 infielders on the right side. Only his Torres is on the left side. Plenty of room for Ortiz if he wants to slap it right back through the middle. You see the defense and how they line up.
He hit against the shift in the first inning Wednesday. And a base hit to the left of second base. 1-2.
And that's the splitter, and that's probably the reason why David Ortiz has so many problems. And watch it again. It's out of the zone. And to the hitter, you see just kind of spinning the opposite way. Ortiz reads it as a fastball. The ball just dips away, and he missed it by plenty.
And there's another one to the left of second. So in the first 2 games of this series, Ortiz in his first at-bat has been willing to go the other way and delivers a hit. The Angels defensively tonight. Sean Figgins makes his first start of 2007 in center field with Guerrero back and right. Cabrera, a Gold Glove shortstop who's played that caliber of defense this year, according to the Angels. And Jeff Mathis, the starting catcher, he works very well and usually is the catcher for Escobar.
Mathis has picked off 7 base runners this year, 6 at first base, 1 at second. He particularly loves to go behind the left-hand hitter. So although Manny Ramirez a right-hand hitter, Ortiz has to watch his secondary lead at first base, or Kochman will go behind him and they'll try to pick him off.
Well, there's the season numbers for Ramirez. He bats here with 2 on and 1 out. Escobar was terrific this year in stopping the home run. He only gave up 11. And Ramirez has only hit 1 in 34 at-bats against Escobar.
Well, the Red Sox are more than just a slugging team, and they're going to run every chance they get on the Angel outfield, especially on Guerrero and right, who's had some tendonitis in his elbow. I'm sure they want to test it out to see if it's healthy.
1 ball, 1 strike. Guerrero is really shading the right field corner, Steve.
Well, it pretty much shows you that when Escobar goes to the fastball, he wants to keep it away from Manny.
I mean,
tremendous
that looks extreme, doesn't it?
Tremendous amount of room in right center field.
Look where Vladimir's playing. Of course, these teams, and nothing that you see in postseason baseball is without reason, as teams that know, as both of these teams did, that they were going to postseason. They both spent about 10 days having scouts personally watching each of their potential opponents.
Well, multiple scouts, and they took approximately 5 hours going over the advanced scouting report, and this is what the defensive charts read in the Ramirez-Escobar matchup.
Youkilis and Ortiz, the runners, staying away, and it's 2-2. Gary Sutherland, who's the head of pro scouting for the Angels, was the man that was responsible for coordinating their scouting efforts. Dana Levangie, Dave Howard did it so for the Red Sox. And they are really, those are the unsung heroes of successful teams. Mike Lowell waiting. Ramirez got a piece.
A lot of people are probably wondering just exactly what an advanced scout can do and how would it be different than what he did during the regular season. Well, number one, you want to know which of the hitters are hot, if someone has adopted a different batting style, which guys run on which particular counts, will they squeeze with anybody in the lineup, and how the outfielders throw going each way.
2-2 now to Ramirez. Center field, Figgins frozen for a moment, but breaks back and plays it nicely. So there's 2 down and the runners hold.
And there's a perfect example of how it works into the defensive charts, because Figgins was around to right center field. That ball literally was hit right at him. Take a look at it. You see exactly where it's hit. He takes a couple of steps back. And it's one thing to defend the other team. It's another thing to have the pitcher execute, so you're pitching into the defense, and that time it worked perfect.
That's the magic half of the equation, isn't it, Stoney, to have a pitcher that can pitch to his defense?
Well, Escobar has good enough control, and you're right. If he doesn't pitch to the defense, you wind up with doubles in the corners.
So Mike Lowell with 2 down. And by the way, Figgins, we mentioned this is the first game that he has started in center field all year for the Angels, but he has played a good amount of center field in the past. He started over 90 games in center field for Mike Scioscia last year.
Mike Lowell has been the constant run producer, 120 of them this year, because he discovered right and center field. In years past, Lowell was known as a dead pull hitter. If he kept the ball away, he would roll over the top and either fly out to left field or hit a ground ball to the left side. But this year, Dave Magadan, the hitting coach, has explained to him, look, they're going to try to stay away from you. That's not a pitch you want to pull. In the first game of the series, he took one right back up the middle, drove home a run, and it looks like Escobar, at least early in this one, wants to stay away from it. And there's a look at Dave Magadan.
Up high to Lowell, 3-0. So the Red Sox are doing to Escobar almost what the Angels did to Matsuzaka in the top half of the inning. They're making him work and running up pitches. Matsuzaka through 31, 22 so far here.
I would expect a 3-0 green light for Lowell, especially if he got one middle in. Now there's an example of a pitch that was a pitcher's pitch. That ball was on the outer third of the plate. Even if you do get the green light, if it's not where you're looking, if you're not going to zone hit and pick out a spot where you want the ball, just take it. You still have 2 others to work with.
Angels infield back all the way around. And Lowell draws the second walk of the inning. So they're loaded with 2 outs for J.D. Drew. Mike Butcher, the pitching coach for the Angels, is going to make the trip to the mound.
One of the big problems, and there haven't been many for Escobar this year, has been focus. At times he will just lose his concentration. That's why Mike Butcher is out there. Mike Scioscia sent him out specifically to say, look, forget about the bases loaded. Those guys you can't do anything about. He's going to remind him of the scouting report on J.D. Drew. He's going to get his concentration back where it has to be and hope that he can extricate himself from this inning and keep it no score as they head into the second.
So J.D. Drew, who had a very disappointing first year in Boston overall, he did, though, have a very good September. And he hits here with the bases loaded. Youkilis, Ortiz, and Lowell, the runners, and 2 out. Drew in game 1 was 1 for 3. Now, he had spent his entire career until this year in the National League, so he's only had 5 at-bats against Escobar. Up the middle, and J.D. Drew delivers. They're going to wait Big Papi home behind Youkilis, and he will score 2-0 Red Sox.
One thing you cannot afford to do is walk these Red Sox. They've got too much thunder in their lineup. The lineup is relentless. You never get a breath. And J.D. Drew takes it right back up the middle. That ball was up in the zone. I told you they're going to run all the way around on the outfield of the Angels. And just like that, the Red Sox, who have a one-game lead in the series, lead 2-0 here in the first.
The thing the Angels couldn't get in the top half, J.D. Drew delivers the 2-out hit.
That's kind of been the theme of the series. And Boston has been an awfully good home team this year. Not quite as good as the Angels have been at home, but still pretty good.
So Jason Varitek takes a strike. This is the bottom three we mentioned in terms of history. The bottom three, 7, 8, 9. These guys have all had success with Escobar. Varitek 7 out of 22. The 318 average. He's got 2 on here and 2 out. Escobar, the Angels sat him down the last 2 weeks with that questionable shoulder. Then they pitched him in Oakland last Saturday. And he gave them 6 very good innings, only 1 run. And that led Mike Scioscia and staff to believe that Escobar was fine and good to go here in game 2. Again, you look at the gun readings. 98, hit that a couple of times.
Well, there's certainly been enough on the fastball, but it's been location. It could very well be many times a pitcher is going to compensate for not feeling quite 100% by trying to throw harder. You usually don't get hitters out that way. You get hitters out by taking something off as opposed to trying to put something on.
Varitek caught by Kendrick, and that ends the inning. But the Red Sox, for the second game in a row, strike in the first inning. Aerial HD views of the famous Prudential Tower all around Boston. They're being brought to you by Hood, America's dairy expert since 1846. Visit hood.com to learn more.
You and I look much better from the blimp, especially on HD.
I had the honor of running the Boston Marathon once. And you finish right outside the Prudential Tower. I don't remember the finish. It was painful.
I usually do half Ks.
So to the second inning we go, and the Angels are playing uphill again, as they did all of game 1. Casey Kotchman, then Kendry Morales and Howie Kendrick to follow. Kotchman, a good year hitting for average, does not strike out much, and the Angels believe that he'll add to his power as he continues to mature.
Well, when I talked to Mike Scioscia about Kotchman, he said that he doesn't care if he hits a ball out of the ballpark. He believes that he can be a run producer, and that's all you're looking for. He said if he can drive in 110, I don't care if he hits 12 to 15 home runs, and he believes that Kotchman is that good a player that eventually he'll be that kind of run producer.
Son of a good baseball man. His dad's a minor league manager in the Angels system and a scout. We're up in Florida. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Kotchman.
Well, they thought they had their corners of the future. Dallas McPherson was supposed to play third and Kotchman at first. McPherson was the guy that would hit 40 home runs in the minor leagues, but ran into tremendous back problems. That was a huge loss to the Angel organization.
Now 1 and 2 inside. Of course, this organization, especially under Artie Moreno's ownership, has developed young players, and they've got their next third baseman, Brandon Wood, is regarded as one of the best young prospects in the game.
Well, I think they're going to have to find some power somewhere. Speed is a good thing to have because it never slumps, as they say, but you have to have some people to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and Vladdy isn't getting any younger.
Now Kotchman takes it to 3-2, so Matsuzaka's command has not been as sharp as he'd like, with Morales behind him. Now, Matsuzaka did get out of the first inning with a great 3-2 curveball to freeze Mycir Asturias.
Well, a couple of major league scouts that were talking about Dice Guy said that he is a power nibbler. That he'll get ahead and then he'll just throw 95 just off the corner and hope you swing at it.
That's a good phrase. I've never heard that. A power nibbler.
Yeah, usually you don't see it from power pitchers.
Yes. Well, there's Kochman doing what Youkilis did to start the Red Sox in the bottom of the first, working on a walk from behind in the count.
Now, between innings, Orlando Cabrera is kind of the leader of this team, and he leans over and he says to Kelvin Escobar, look, you can't be afraid of these hitters. You got to go right at them. You've got to challenge these guys. You get behind them, they'll kill you. Throw strike one. It's the most important pitch to throw, and just go at him. And it looked to me like Escobar was a little tentative in the first inning. And there's a guy whose baseball acumen is off the charts. Orlando Cabrera is one of the leaders of this team and has been since he got there.
So now the Angels, Kendry Morales. He appeared as a pinch hitter. Was called out on strikes facing Beckett on Wednesday night. This is a young man. You talk about a buildup. He was a teenage phenom in his home country, Cuba. A star player as a teenager at every level, and eventually at age 19 for the Cuban national team. He defected. Ended up going through the Dominican Republic to become a free agent. The Angels made a significant long-term investment to tie him up. He's only 24 years old, and they really feel a switch hitter with the ability to hit for power from both sides.
Well, Mickey Hatcher closed up his stance. It used to be wide open, and now by closing it up, he's able to drive the ball to left and left center field.
That's foul.
And that call was by Dan Iasonia, because that ball was not by the bag. And although Youkilis was in fair territory, it's where the ball is. And as you can see, the ball is clearly foul.
We talk about the loss of McPherson to injury for the Angels. Another loss this year. They, during the winter, signed a veteran, Shea Hillenbrand. And he was their designated hitter at the beginning of the year. But Hillenbrand really did not produce very much, or at least certainly not what they hoped. And at the All-Star break, they released him. The Angels lost Juan Rivera, who had been a big hitter for them last year in the offseason to injury. Now Rivera's back. He played September, and he's on the roster here for the postseason.
And he was an option tonight. If you look at Gary Matthews, that's one of the huge losses, because yes, he hit 18 home runs, and yes, he drove in some runs, but what he can do in the outfield makes the whole team better defensively. He can get him alley to alley, probably as good as any center fielder in the game. But he came down awkwardly, chasing down a ball in center field, and came up with a knee injury, patellar tendonitis, and he's on the shelf at least for the first round.
On the ground, off Pedroia. And Kochman had stopped, but now he'll turn it back on and get to third. So the Angels get a break, and now the first issue for the Red Sox is Pedroia. Immediately they come racing out of the dugout and take a look at the rookie second baseman.
And we'll watch it. It looked like he landed awkwardly. This ball takes a strange hop, and Pedroia kind of gets stuck, and you see him roll over. Looks like it's the left shoulder, and that would be a huge loss. He's a Rookie of the Year candidate. Most likely he will be the Rookie of the Year. And they're taking a look to see if it's just a stinger or if there's something wrong. He's a tough kid, and I would assume that they would have to yank him out of here with a tractor.
Terry Francona told us Pedroia plays with a chip on his shoulder because he has to. I love that.
Well, when you're his size, and when you have a lot of people during the course of your career telling you what you can't do, you eventually overachieve. And I think you'd have to say that Pedroia, who came out of Arizona State as a shortstop, has a tremendous advantage of having a tremendous arm. And now he plays second and has gotten a whole lot better at turning double plays. Fortunately, he's okay. The inning continues, but runners at the corners and nobody out, and Matsuzaka in trouble.
So that's a base hit for Kendry Morales. Kochman at third, Morales at first, and Howie Kendrick, who is regarded as one of the best pure hitters around, gets a chance here to get the Angels back in this series.
Well, if you're Kochman at third base, what you're looking for, because you know that Matsuzaka throws a lot of fork balls, is You're getting that good secondary lead. You can come down the line exactly the distance that Lowell is away from you. And you want your momentum going forward in case something's in the dirt.
And Matsuzaka gets ahead of Kendrick 0-2. A player that Mike Scioscia said, and he's only 24, he said he can be a dominant offensive player. That's how good a pure hitter. Jeff Mathis, the catcher, will be next. Of course, here, if he just puts a ball in play in the infield, they'll get a run. The Red Sox will trade a run here for a chance to turn 2. And Kendrick goes down on 3 pitches.
That was a good hard slider by Matsuzaka. This one well out of the zone. He got ahead and just wiped him out. You see the good tight slider. Howie Kendrick well out in front of it, trying to protect, and no contact. And this is where Morales has got to get a little better lead than he's getting at first base. Because now a ground ball in the infield, if you can break up 2, you can get a run. And he's not taking any kind of lead at first.
Jeff Mathis, the batter. I've always felt, Steven, tell me what you think, that last at bat is one of the real measures of a hitter, to deliver a man from third with less than 2 men out.
And to shorten your swing when you need contact. Because with the infield playing where they were playing, even a little deeper than double play depth, they're giving you the run if you can just hit the ball on the ground.
And the Angels, who did such a great job all year long of producing runs by using outs, and that was an example of a great chance where they had to do that just to get a run, even if it was 2 outs, and they didn't get it.
And the Angels led the major leagues in sacrifice flies, and they can use another one here.
Mathis takes a ball, 2-1.
Mathis is not quite the hitter that Napoli is. He started the first game. You don't lose anything defensively, but you lose a little bit of power. Best arm in the outfield, by far J.D. Drew in right field.
There goes Morales. So the Angels put him in motion, and Mathis fouls it back.
Well, that's an effort by Mike Scioscia to make something happen, because Mathis was looking at right field all the way. And as it turned out, Pedroia was covering, and the entire right side was vacated. Make any contact at all, and the net ball scoots into right field, and the Angels have their first run of the series. As it is with a 2-2 count, you can pretty much count on a good hard slider low and out of the zone. And we'll see if Mathis can hold up.
So it's 3-2. Here's a little bit of that nibbling you talked about.
Well, that was a slider. It was at 88, but he couldn't get it where he wanted it. We saw Veritek wanting it low and away. Matsuzaka hung it. And now it'll be interesting to see if they do indeed run with Morales to try to stay out of the double play.
4th time, a 3-ball count. Mathis puts it in play to third. Morales runs, and that'll get the Angels a run. So the Angels score their first run of this series, and they do it utilizing their style of baseball.
You have to make sure that the pitcher delivers, and that's exactly what happened. Morales was running. There was no play at second base for Lowell. The Gold Glover gets it across, and they cut the lead in half. So Mike Scioscia, putting the runner in motion, gets the Angels their first run.
That's a big pickup after what could have been a demoralizing strikeout for the first out. Now Figgins who struck out in the first inning. And no swing. It's ball one as you look down on Fenway Park in Boston on a gorgeous October night. We're in the 70s for the temperature of Game 2 of this American League Division Series. The Angels threatened in the top of the first, did not score. The Red Sox got two in the bottom half on a two-run single from J.D. Drew. And now the Angels have put one up against Matsuzaka here in the top of the second.
Matsuzaka already at 53 pitches. So if anybody out there thought that he was going much past 6, I would think you can forget about that one, even with the off day tomorrow.
Figgins is going to bend back and shot a quick glance at Dan Iasonia. 2 balls, 1 strike. And the reaction that you hear here at Fenway Park now is that you don't think it takes long to find out in Boston that the Yankees just lost?
They lost to go down 2-0 to the Cleveland Indians, heading back to New York. That won an extra inning.
That's the reaction. The Indians 2, the Yankees 1 in 11 innings. 2-0 Cleveland. And Figgins flares one to left field for a hit. Morales rounds third. He will score. Figgins is running, and he'll stop at second as the ball scooted by Ramirez. And Sean Figgins delivers the 2-out hit the Angels have been looking for.
This looked like it was going to be a single, and Manny Ramirez played it into a double. The ball slicing down the line. Ramirez just overruns it. The run would have scored anyway, but Figgins would have wound up at first base. So with the pitches piling up on Matsuzaka, the Angels have tied it here in the second.
And that will be scored. Ramirez never touched the ball, so the scoring is a double for Figgins. And now Orlando Cabrera, let's try to see if he can make the Red Sox pay for that misplay by Ramirez. Cabrera drives us to left. Ramirez going back into the gap in left center, and that's going to be at the base of the scoreboard. In to score Figgins. Cabrera with an RBI double, and the Angels have their first lead of this series. Well, the little jolt they took by not scoring in the first inning, Stoney, they've more than made up for here in the second.
Well, Cabrera had that heated conversation with Escobar, not only talking the talk, but walking the walk as he one-hops the wall. Angels have put 3 on the board. The inning continues, and the pitches have almost approached 60 for Matsuzaka, and you can see the fans here in Boston reacting to the 2-1 score coming out of Cleveland.
It's a momentary salve for them after the wound of seeing the Angels score 3 runs here. Cabrera was always a very effective hitter, and he was the kind of hitter, Steve, you were talking about with when Kochman was batting. He's not a power hitter, but he's a run producer. He drove in 86 runs, batting second this year. As Vladdy with a swing and a miss.
Well, Cabrera's manned the 2 spot for the Angels, but he used to hit number 3 for the Expos.
All right, Chip and Tony and Bob, thank you very much, and we welcome all of you now to Fenway Park in Boston, where this ain't game 1 anymore. A totally different start to game 2. The Angels have just scored 3 runs here, still batting with Vladimir Guerrero at the plate in the second inning. And Guerrero with a ground ball to Dustin Pedroia will make the play on. But the Angels scored 3 runs, 2 of them on 2-out hits off Daisuke Matsuzaka. These aerial HD pictures of the monster seats and the beauty and the uniqueness of Fenway Park being brought to you by Hood, America's dairy expert since 1846. Visit hood.com to learn more.
It's going to be the top of the order. Pedroia, Youkilis, and Ortiz. Pedroia's had 6 at-bats in the series. I'm not sure if he's seen 15 pitches.
But Dustin Pedroia, and the highest batting average in Major League history for a rookie second baseman, a regular player, hit .317 this year, 0 for 6 so far in the series.
Well, he's been very aggressive and not too selective is what he's been swinging at. And he's got to get on because he's the table setter for a very potent middle of the order.
Youkilis and Ortiz to follow as this starts the 3rd trip through the Boston lineup. Red Sox have only 1 hit since the 1st inning, and that was Coco Crisp's bunt with 2 outs in the 4th. Now Escobar's last 3 starts, he did not reach 100 pitches. 77 here in the bottom of the 5th. Pulled fair, and Pedroia has his first postseason hit. A leadoff double.
When you fall behind and it becomes an offensive at bat, you can drive the ball if you're looking for something middle in. So Pedroia finally got ahead in the count. He got that fastball up and out over the plate and took it right down the line. No chance for his tourists at all. You see Tim Sheeta saying fair all the way. That's the tying run out at second base. And now we'll see if Youkilis does indeed hit the ball to the right side to move Pedroia over to third.
Kochman creeping in from first, and a check swing that's going to do the job. Well, he didn't mean to, but Escobar finally running to touch first base as Pedroia was keeping the play alive around third.
That was exactly what he wanted to do, although on that pitch he wasn't necessarily trying to do it. It is a check swing, but he does move Pedroia to third and then plays a little game with Escobar. How long can you wait until you tag the batter?
So Ortiz and Ramirez.
And I think they're going to put Ramirez on and set up the potential double play.
Yeah, Mike Scioscia actually popped up out of the dugout to get the attention of his catcher. And then Jeff Mathis stands up, so Ortiz will get the pass. Escobar's on paper advantage coming in tonight was that neither Ortiz nor Ramirez has had success against him. But tonight now Ortiz will be on base 3 times with this intentional walk.
I'm actually kind of surprised. I know that Manny Ramirez is a tremendous hitter, but he was hurt a bit this year and the power numbers were down. But for David Ortiz, who's devastating, he was only walked 12 times intentionally. And there's Mike Scioscia, who will give the signals to Mathis. Mathis will look over. Being a former catcher, Scioscia will tell when should Escobar throw to first, when he should use a slide step, and occasionally make some pitch suggestions to Mathis.
Well, Escobar features a good split. Tony, has that got to be his play here to try to get that ground ball from Ramirez?
Well, the problem is a good split winds up in the dirt. You don't want a wild pitch to tying run home. Kochman is playing in front of Ortiz at first base. That's a most unusual setup.
And Manny fouls the first one away.
And the reason why I say it's unusual is that this is a good double play situation. And you can see that Escobar is no stranger to throwing double plays. And that's because of that good split finger. But normally you would see Kochman in back of Ortiz, knowing that Ortiz is not going to get a big lead and he's not going to run.
That's fouled. Mathis chasing. And he leans in, and a fan got it. And there is the most popular man in Boston at 10:47 p.m. Friday night.
And when you go into the stands, it's fair game for the fans to grab it, and that's what Mathis tried to do. Now, he would have made that play. He was there. Looked to me like he could have made the play, but that fan has every right to go for it. And go for it he did.
And of course, the other issue, as you see there, the extension, the photography boxes that are installed for postseason play, regular season. Mathis has a much better chance.
Well, that ball actually was in the glove for a moment, taken out, and now the inning stays alive for Ortiz. That could turn out to be one of the biggest plays of the game.
Is a foul ball. Gloved by Asturias. Well,
see, there's a look at Myron Bartman,
yeah, I was
who's
a
distant cousin of Steve Bartman.
I mean, it's amazing because, you know, in fact, the last couple of days, the stories have surfaced again in Chicago. I'm sure you'll see them tomorrow with the game at Wrigley Field about Steve Bartman, and here's Boston's hero. I mean,
well, he took it away from Mathis because that ball was in the glove. And again,
well, you say that's more Jeffrey Meyer than Steve Bartman, isn't it?
Well, except this was a foul ball, but it did keep the inning alive, and now he's signing autographs.
Jeffrey Meyer, of course, was involved in a play in the right field wall at Yankee Stadium about 10 years ago, 97, I think. All right, 0-2 to Ramirez with one out.
And this is where you'd love to throw that split finger, but that's the pitch that you worry about. You worry about Mathis smothering it. See Mike Scioscia giving Mathis the signs.
Anderson deep in left, Figgins shading toward right center. A huge gap in left center for Ramirez. Vladdy toward the right field line. 2-2.
Well, Ramirez struck out in the third inning on a fastball high and away. And Escobar has tried twice to get him to go up and out of the zone. Ramirez has just looked at both of them.
And again, the long ball thought in this moment. Escobar only allowed 11 home runs this year. Ramirez has hit only one in 36 career at-bats against Escobar. Tight and close, and it's 3-2.
Well, normally in a situation like this, with a normal base runner at first and Ramirez up, you would think about sending him. But David Ortiz with a bad knee is not a normal base runner. And we'll see what Francona has in mind. He can ill afford to strike him out, throw him out.
Standing around Fenway. Ortiz runs, and the pitch bounces in. And Ramirez comes back and draws a walk to load the bases for Lowell. That'll bring Mike Butcher again from the Angels dugout.
Once again, he wants to tell Escobar, you've got to put that play earlier this inning out of your mind. Get the bases loaded. Your catcher just saved you a run. A very good effort by Mathis. Now you have to deal with one of their most prolific run producers, Michael Lowell.
That's some faith in your catcher, isn't it? To throw that pitch with a runner at third.
Well, I always felt that, and I was blessed to have Rick Dempsey when I was with Baltimore, but he'd come and tell me as a breaking ball pitcher, he said, just make sure you don't throw it over my head and it's not going to get by me. And I think that with Mike Scioscia as a manager teaching his catchers the proper fundamentals, their pitchers probably feel the same way, because that was a great effort by Mathis.
Pedroia opened the inning with a double. Ortiz was intentionally walked. Ramirez walks. And the Red Sox RBI man Mike Lowell at the plate. Center field. Figgins back. Going back, he'll make the catch. Pedroia will score the tying run. But the Angels breathe a little more relaxed when that ball left Lowell's bat. They were thinking that could have been a big hit. And there's a fan who's getting an assist. 3-all here in the fifth.
This is taking a page out of the Angels book. They led the league in sacrifice flies. Mike Lowell drives it far enough to drive home the tying run.
Lowell drove in 120 runs. He had 8 sac flies, tied with Ramirez for the team lead. Now J.D. Drew, who had a 2-out, 2-run single in the first. And now the Angels' first bullpen action. Scott Shields. Last 3 starts that Escobar made in the regular season. His pitch totals 91, 98, and 92. And he rarely went over 110 this year, so you get a sense he's coming to the end of the line. He gets Drew there, and it's 1-2.
He's got a pretty good idea that whatever he's got left, he's got to show to J.D. Drew right here. That high fastball was one of the harder fastballs we've seen tonight. Drew couldn't hold up. This is probably the biggest hitter and the biggest pitch of the ball game for Escobar in this sequence.
Ortiz and Ramirez the runners.
J.D. Drew fouled that one off his leg. That's the only problem that he's had during the course of his career, and that has been staying healthy. There's no doubt he has astonishing skills. He's about as strong as you'd ever want to be. I saw him hit one off the scoreboard at the old Bush Memorial Stadium. It was 504 feet from home plate. Many times his injury problem have hurt his effectiveness.
Inside 2-2. The year that really made J.D. Drew was the 2004 season, the 1 year he played in Atlanta. And again, you talk about leadership. It was Chipper Jones early in that year that made sure J.D. Drew understood that in Atlanta we play. And J.D. Drew, 518 at-bats that year, had his breakthrough season, ended up getting a big contract from the Dodgers.
And everybody knows that he had an out there in the final couple of years of that contract, exercised the out, gave up the guaranteed $11 million, and came here for a 5-year deal for $14 million with the Red Sox. And they're hoping next year that he can live up to that.
All right, Mathis to the mound. Let's see what Escobar delivers on 2-2. Now it's got to be going through Mike Scioscia's mind as well, as you got Varitek on deck. Would Escobar pitch to Varitek if J.D. Drew draws a walk? And Drew fouls it. Runners moving on the 3-2. Well, the Red Sox, who walked more than any team in baseball the last 3 years, and tonight they've drawn 4 on their own, 1 free pass, but they've got another starting pitcher to 100 pitches in the 5th inning, Stoney.
Well, that was to be expected with the rocky start. There's Mike Lowell, a very happy man, having tied it up with a sacrifice fly. Talking with Alex Cora, a fine utility infielder for the Red Sox. Turning into a pretty good at bat for J.D. Drew, and it looks to me like Big Poppy is going to need the oxygen coming up here soon.
I'm watching Ortiz run, and I mean, of course, it's the playoffs and it's all serious, but deep down inside he's thinking, would you hit one fair just somewhere?
This is the 9th pitch of the at bat, and Big Poppy's running out of steam.
And another foul from Drew, and yeah, I tell you what.
I think David wants to call it. He wants to call a timeout here. Hold on for 1 second. I'll get back to the bag, but hold on. There he goes.
Yeah, that's right.
Royce Clayton is saying, put a hook in him. He's done. We'll watch it again. There's Poppy knowing that there's going to be a 10th pitch in this at bat.
You want to score him, you better hit one up in the seats here. A bouncer. Kochman has to back up, but Escobar is there. So Escobar stands strong at the end. He gets Drew. The Red Sox, they'll push across 1 with the help of a friendly Bostonian. And we're tied after 5. You notice the streets are fairly quiet on Friday night in Boston, on this Friday night in Boston. You notice that?
I did.
The focus is right here inside Fenway Park, where we go to the 6th inning, and DHL presents MLB Delivery Man as Manny Del Carmen, a local product, comes out of the Boston bullpen. He had a very good second half of the year and worked his way into more important pitching situations for the Red Sox.
Well, he's only 25 years old. He's a fireballer. 44 appearances this year, a minuscule ERA of 2.05. And when they were looking for a trade, everybody that came to Theo Epstein said, that's the guy we want, Manny Del Carmen, and that's the one he wouldn't part with.
And I want to remind you fans that you can go to MLB.com to cast your vote for the 2007 DHL Presents MLB Delivery Man of the Year. Howie Kendrick, Jeff Mathis, and Sean Figgins in the Angels' 6th inning. Del Carmen can get it up there at the mid-90s as he just did, and he's developed a better changeup, and that's made him a guy that's, as I said, he's figured this is the 6th inning. He's a guy that people have started talking about here as potentially a guy that could start pitching the 8th inning for the Red Sox.
He only gave up 28 hits in 44 innings along with 17 walks. That's a good whip. And a whip is when you add the base hits and the base on balls together per inning, the lower that number is, the better the pitcher is. And Del Carmen's around 1. John Papelbon is .71.
Well, that's sick, that number. Hendrick to the right side, Youkilis. And Del Carmen covers, 1 away. In the bottom of the 5th, this foul pop off Ramirez bat. Jeff Mathis going over, and there's the young fan within his rights to make a play that ended up being a very popular play in Boston. Look at the bespectacled man right there in the lower right. Stephen King says, way to go.
It was a pretty good effort, and it might have cost the Angels the tie.
Ramirez ended up walking in that at bat when he stayed alive, and then Mike Lowell's sac fly brought in the tying run.
Del Carmen was drafted in the 2nd round in the 2000 Major League Draft. He's a product of the Red Sox system.
Came out of West Roxbury High School, a local product made good. As Mathis to shallow right. Drew. So 2 down in the Angels' 6th, and at the end of this half inning, we'll be going to Atlanta with EJ, Cal Ripken, Frank Thomas, and special guest tonight, Curtis Granderson. What a marvelous year he had for the Tigers. A game break coming up at the end of this half inning.
I thought Curtis was one of the most improved players in the game this year. I'm talking about the overall game that he played for the Tigers in center field. Looks to me like the sky's the limit for the young man who comes out of the Chicago area.
Yes. Sean Figgins doubled in a run in the 2nd inning. The Angels scored all 3 of their runs in the 2nd. They lost an opportunity in the 3rd inning. They had Matsuzaka off balance a bit. Garrett Anderson led off the 3rd inning with a double, but then he made an ill-advised play. He tried to advance to 3rd on a ground ball to short, was thrown out. Angels didn't score. They got a leadoff single from Kendrick in the 4th inning. Did not score.
But they have managed tonight to do something that they didn't do in the first game, and that's steal some bases and go first to 3rd, which is a type of baseball they have to play without big home run power down through their lineup.
Two strikes now, and Figgins would look to be that Scott Shields is going to take over for the Angels in the bottom half of the inning.
I would say that you can pretty much take that one to the bank. Escobar has thrown very well, but the pitches have really piled up on him, and I think that's about it.
Now Carmen with the off speed 1 and 2, but you get a look here, Stoney, in these first 3 hitters that this real good fastball from Del Carmen has been effective.
Well, he's got some pretty good stuff, and the outfield reflects the fact that they don't think that Figgins can pull him, because you see Coco Crisp a few steps over into left center field.
2-2.
See, as a hitter, that tells me that they're going to work me away. And so if you're Figgins, look, you can adjust to the breaking ball. You have to hit off the fastball. And I believe that they want to keep that fastball away from him, because if he pulls it into that 420 sign in right center field, that could very well be an inside the park home run.
Oh, there's that great off-speed pitch. What a great change there from Del Carmen. So a 1-2-3. Well, we've had one bad base running play both sides now in this tie game in the 7th inning.
Well, there was a deke at second base to start with, convincing Crisp that he should slide. And we'll take another look at it, and you'll see the Angel dugout get involved, and Cabrera know exactly what happened.
So Manny Del Carmen back on the mound for the Red Sox. Cabrera, Guerrero, and Anderson. So the Angels with their best hitters coming up here in the top of the 7th.
Probably the biggest question mark for Terry Francona in that bullpen is Eric Gagne, because he didn't have a particularly good last part of the season.
Now both teams are deep. Both teams in this series needing only 3 starters were able to have 10-man pitching staffs and still then therefore have 7-man bullpens. Red Sox also feel good about their lefty Hideki Okajima.
Well, they're happy to have him back and healthy.
Veritek straight back and just onto the screen. So let's take another look here at Crisp running on Lugo's fly ball.
And you take a look, he can't pick up the baseball, but he does touch the bag, and you see Ted Barrett looking right at him, and they knew that he hit the bag going there, and all of a sudden everybody in the dugout for the Angels say tag second base.
The key is he hit the bag and went past the base.
Yes.
He's ruled to a turn.
Did not retouch it on the way back.
And very alert. And I think that's great umpiring. I'm glad we had that shot. Ted Barrett staring right there. No question that he was on top of that. And Cabrera sends this to left center, and Crisp gets there.
right now, Coco Crisp cannot pick up the ball. And from that angle, it's very obvious that he never came close to retouching. So we've seen some sloppy base running on the part of both teams this evening.
That was Garrett Anderson for the Angels side back in the third inning. Tried to go second to third on a ground ball to shortstop and was thrown out. Here's Vladdy Guerrero, 0 for 3 tonight. He's 2 for 7 in the series, 2 singles. And the Angels really would get a huge lift if they can get Vladimir Guerrero in the postseason to be the Vladimir Guerrero of the regular season.
Well, he's the home run hitter, and that's what he's thinking about right here.
And Vladimir Guerrero takes one.
Well, he's looking out at Del Carmen. In a tie game in the 7th inning, there's no way in the world that Del Carmen wants to hit him on purpose. He represents the go-ahead run. And that ball got him up high on the left shoulder. So you see Veritek moving inside. It's not like he was sitting outside and Del Carmen went after him.
Shot a little nasty eye out at him.
I think that's what Veritek told him right there when he went over to him. He said, look, he wasn't throwing at you.
Back in April, Josh Beckett drilled Guerrero. Vladimir's he's never been hit as many as 10 times in a season, which is interesting. All right, Guerrero's being still tended to by the Angels staff. The Red Sox are making a pitching change with Garrett Anderson due up. Vladimir Guerrero seems to be okay, still probably steaming inside in this tie game, 7th inning at Fenway Park. Enter People Magazine's Sexiest Fan Alive contest, and you, be you male or female, could be in People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive issue and win a VIP trip for 2 to next year's World Series. To enter, go to peoplesexiestfan.com.
And Hideki Okajima enters this one. During the regular season, 66 appearances, a fine 2.22 ERA. He's got a couple of different types of changeups. He has very good control. You can see 63 strikeouts, just 17 walks. And when the opponents are hitting just 202, you know you got pretty good stuff. He was another one of those guys that suffered from a little shoulder fatigue, and they shut him down for a while. Again, from Japan, you play a shorter season. They're playing into October here, and Okajima now is throwing the ball as well as he's thrown it most of the season.
Now, Vladimir Guerrero, the runner, and in his Montreal days in particular, he was pretty good base stealer. Garrett Anderson, the batter, but of course you've got a left-hand pitcher on the mound here.
That was also a lot of knee problems ago.
That's true. So Garrett Anderson facing the left-hander Okajima. He's seen him 3 times before with 1 hit. Anderson, a veteran hitter, hits lefties very well. He hit .288 this year with 6 home runs against left-hand pitching.
And I wouldn't think that Okajima would be particularly intimidating for lefties, only that he comes over the top and doesn't swing it from the side.
Now again, Anderson's, you see the close-in shots, his right eye swollen from the infection that he had before Wednesday's game 1. Every word is that it's not affecting his vision to the point where he's able to play. And he has 2 hits tonight. A single in the first, bloop double to right in the third. Guerrero this year, 2 steals.
Again, there's 2 different kinds of changeups from Okajima. That was one of them. He's got one. He throws a little softer than that. That's a recipe to get a line drive hit right back at you and take the B right off the top of your head. He looks down at the ground, and when the ball's released, he's not looking at home plate.
Two and two. The Angels scored all 3 of their runs in the 2nd inning. Well, I can't remember Stoney seeing a pitcher that extreme. Can you?
Well, not one that still has a head.
So now 3-2 to Anderson. Well, a pitcher-dominated first game of this series at Fenway by Josh Beckett of Boston. Different story tonight in Game 2 on a warm October evening at Fenway. And we're 3-3 in the 7th inning. The Angels trying to get a split as they would head home to Anaheim, where they had the best record in baseball this year, the best home record. Anderson stays alive.
Well, that's what you're really trying to do when you open at the opponent's park, and that is split. So although you'd like to take 2, nobody in the world was going to beat Josh Beckett the other night because he was just unhittable. That being said, you can't come out of here down 0-2, go home and expect, because you're going to face Beckett again on regular rest, that things are going to work out very well for you. So this is a critical game as Mike Timlin warms up in the bullpen.
Anderson to center field. 2 down. So Anderson battled, but Okajima gets him.
It looked like a fastball that was on the inner half, and Anderson just missed it. I think he realized he got a hittable pitch and didn't get the good part of the bat on it.
So Mycir Asturis, he'll turn around to bat right-handed. He hit .280 as a right-hand batter this year, .291 left-handed.
Well, Asturis doesn't have a whole lot of power, but what power he does have comes from the left side, not the right. We swing around, we show you the defense. You see they're playing him straight up with Drew fairly shallow in right field. You can look at the fingers of Jason Varitek. What he's done is tape white strands of tape on each finger so that the pitchers can see. Apparently he has no trouble throwing the baseball. There's a lot of guys that will go to white out and do that.
Paint their nails. I've seen that, right?
Well,
yeah. I mean,
maybe not
in a good way.
Maybe not at the ballpark, but yeah, I guess occasionally.
As an outside strike, 2-1. Now the Angels have the middle of their lineup here in the top half of the inning.
And that's what Varitek is doing, is securing the tape and making sure that it's in a point where he can still get a good grip on the baseball.
Okajima with that has a great changeup that acts like a screwball.
Well, he has 2 of them, and this is one that just dies out of the strike zone. A tremendous pitch because of the arm speed and the velocity taken off the ball.
Well, the fans here hoping that Okajima can finish. The Red Sox in the bottom half of the inning are going to turn their lineup over. That means Big Papi will hit, and if one man gets on, Ramirez will hit. Asturis stays alive. The Angels, a lot of hitters that make contact.
Well, the outfield right now is a little deeper than they would normally be for Asturis, because that's a go-ahead run at first base with Vladimir Guerrero. Alfredo Griffin talking to him over there, but they're almost playing a no doubles. They want to make sure that any base hit is in front of them, and they will keep Guerrero from scoring.
Got him. So Okajima comes out of the pen to get Anderson and Asturis. Here's our Claritin game summary, and as you see the scoring, most of it happened early. The Red Sox got Lowell sack fly in the 5th to tie it. It's been a battle of the bullpens as both starters were out by the end of the 5th inning, and it's wound up being what we didn't get in game 1, Stoney. This has been a tight, taut game.
Well, now we're deep in the bullpen, and it's Jonathan Papelbon, who had a remarkable season this year. Spring training, they wanted him to start, and they tried to do just that. And eventually he said, I think the bullpen is where I'd like to be. I think it's my future. His ERA at 185 this year. In 59 appearances, he had 37 saves. But some remarkable numbers. 30 hits in 58 in the 3rd innings. And it's somewhat unbelievable with 84 strikeouts, just 15 walks. The control he has with a fastball that tops out around 97, 98, and a great split finger put away.
Well, at Fenway Park, as we just move past midnight into Saturday morning, the time of night, the time of a game where they turn it to their trusted closer, Jonathan Papelbon. Ted Robinson, Steve Stone, Jose Mota, game 2 of the American League Division Series. And the Red Sox going with their man right here. 2 outs in the 8th inning to face Howie Kendrick. Number of runs scored by the Angels against Jonathan Papelbon in his career, 0.
If you're the Angels, you say they're due. And if you're the Red Sox, it looks like a good matchup.
And Kendrick puts the first one in play. And that is off Youkilis's glove. So there goes. Well, we'll wait. We'll wait for the scoring.
That's E5.
Yeah, probably right. But we mentioned earlier tonight the flawless fielding record of Youkilis. And if you ask Youkilis, I'm sure he'll say this is a pick he should make.
Well, it's a throw that Lowell should have made, but not much you can do about physical errors. And that's what that one was. So the inning stays alive. It is an E5.
And just about to say exactly what the Red Sox would have wanted. A one-pitch stand for Papelbon to try to get as much out of him tonight as they can. Now he faces Jeff Mathis, hitless in 3 trips. Papelbon in his career, 15 1/3 innings against the Angels, no runs allowed, 7 hits.
Talking with John Farrell about Jonathan Papelbon, I asked him how unusual was it for a young man, a rookie, to come into the pressure cooker that is Boston baseball and go into that bullpen, and they turn the ball over to him as the closer. He said normally with a normal guy you would worry about it, but Jonathan Papelbon is far from the normal guy. Nothing phases this guy.
There goes Kendrick. Boy, he's still standing up. And Papelbon, who now says he's a closer. The Red Sox say he's a closer. He has one closer trait. Doesn't pay much attention to the runner.
No, there's no chance at all for Varitek, and to his credit, he didn't even make a throw. And now they're going to call back Mathis now that they have a runner in scoring position. Veritek will go out and meet with Papelbon over a set of signs they want to use with the man at second. And it's Juan Rivera coming on to pinch hit.
So with a 1-1 count, Juan Rivera, veteran right-hand hitter with good power, and was a key loss to the Angels this year. He broke his leg playing winter ball last December and did not, and that came after a year where he had 23 homers, drove in 85 runs last year for the Angels. He did not play at all this year until September.
Well, he originally came through the New York Yankee organization, and they thought that he was going to be a superstar. But he's bounced around since then. Seems to have found a home with the Angels.
So Rivera inherits the 1-1 count with 2 outs and Kendrick at second. Kendrick getting a healthy lead at second. Now, Mike Scioscia only has 2 players on his entire team that have ever gotten a hit off Papelbon, Cabrera and Guerrero. So it's not like he had a whole lot of great options.
Well, if Rivera does get a hit, they're going to test everyone in the outfield because you're not going to get too many shots at Jonathan Papelbon. You might as well put the pressure on the defense and make them throw you out at the plate.
There goes Kendrick. Rivera fouls it.
Well, there is absolutely no one paying attention to Kendrick on base. Most unusual in a tie game, only in that if he gets to third base, then a wild pitch can score him. And watch the break he gets. He could have gone in standing up.
Rivera got a piece of it. Stoney, I think this from Mike Scioscia is take a shot. You're not, like you said, you're not going to get many. Take a shot to get this run and get yourself the lead. Kendrick will take third, standing up on ball 2.
Four stolen bases tonight for the Angels, and once again, you could consider defensive indifference, except that Papelbon did look at him once or twice, so they do give a stolen base.
Just missed on the inside. So a full count to Rivera.
Well, at the very least, whether they score with Rivera up or not, they want to get to Figgins in the left-handed bat against Papelbon.
There's Figgins waiting. That is a classic closer's face.
A young classic closer's face.
Missed. And the Angels may not score, but even this you could consider a minor win in the standpoint now they're going to just force Papelbon to throw some more pitches.
Well, that one just barely missed. And I mean barely. Papelbon thought it was strike 3. So did Veritek. But the deciding vote went to Dan Iasonia.
So now Reggie Willits is coming in to pinch run for Rivera, which means that I would assume on the first pitch Willits will be standing on second base. What do you think, Stone?
Well, a difficult situation here only because I think you want the Figgins-Papelbon matchup. And if he does go to second, they would certainly think about putting Figgins on first and taking their chances with the right-handed Cabrera. My feeling is I'd keep the hole open on the right side and make them pitch to Figgins.
Right, give the hitter the edge there.
But Willits is a
Right.
stolen base guy. He's got good speed.
Right.
We'll see what Socha decides to do.
Well, Willits stays put. Figgins takes a ball. And that also would play in. Could Figgins pull Papelbon's 96, 97 mile an hour stuff?
Well, if he gets it middle of the plate in, he can. And that's why Youkilis has to be very careful as he comes off the bag. You don't want to come off too far and have a guy hit one behind you. So we'll look at the lead from behind Willits.
There it goes. Figgins goes 1-1. Willits takes the base, and of course with the runner at third, again, any ball down low highlights the importance of what Varitek does here.
Well, they have supreme confidence that Jason Varitek is going to be able to block anything down. And that time he does a nice job of it. Pick the right pitch to run.
Second and third, 2 outs. Well, that's frustrating for the Angels. For Figgins, he has not really had a swing yet. He's got 2 strikes against him.
Well, here's where the wipeout pitch is the good splitter, but you've got to have the supreme confidence in Varitek, because the best splitter is one that looks like a fastball at the knees and goes into the dirt as the hitter swings at it.
The Angels got back-to-back 2-out hits from Figgins and Cabrera in the second inning to score runs, and they need a 2-out hit to take the lead. Figgins stays alive. It looked like Papelbon was going to get off the field in 1 pitch. A ground ball to third, but Lowell's low throw. Youkilis could not pick it, and now the pitch count gets extended just enough to perhaps cause a little thought for the Red Sox, assuming they would bring Papelbon back out for the 9th. Not alarming yet, but it's more than they would need. Of course, we saw tonight in the first game that Mariano Rivera, in a pretty much a crucial, not elimination game, but close to it for the Yankees, 2 innings.
Well, you can bet that if Papelbon can extricate himself from this inning and the Red Sox go on to score in the bottom of the 8th, you're going to see him again in the 9th.
I would assume either way, right? He's going to pitch the 9th either way.
Well, I would say probably unless they score 2 here.
Strike 3 there. Papelbon reacts. Strands 2. Coming up after the game, Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. EJ's got what a collection. Hall of Famer Cal Ripken, 500 homers, Frank Thomas, and our special guest, Curtis Granderson, who I think hit 100 triples this year. Every time I saw him on the highlights, wherever I was, 100 triples. Curtis Granderson. All that coming up. A recap of this day in postseason baseball on TBS. So tonight, Papelbon will face Cabrera, Napoli, and Anderson. Now, I mentioned that the Angels never scored a run off Papelbon. They only have 2 players that have ever had a hit off. I mean, this is one, and Cabrera somehow's got 3. He's 3 for 7 off.
Well, Cabrera is the biggest out of the inning because he's the base stealing threat. And we've seen Papelbon have all kinds of problems with holding base runners. So this becomes a huge out. As far as Napoli's concerned, he started the game last night. He had some big power numbers in the minor leagues, hit 10 this year, but is capable of hitting one into the monster seats. But the key to the inning is not Garrett Anderson. It's Orlando Cabrera. There's a look at the swollen right eye of what looks like Oscar De La Hoya.
2-1 now to Cabrera. Papelbon is human. He did give up 5 home runs this year. But sometimes you look at him and you wonder how. And what it really highlights when you see Jabba Chamberlain, the way he threw earlier tonight for the Yankees. And then Papelbon here, and you recognize these two great franchises have begun to fortify themselves with the next wave of good young talent.
Well, now Cabrera really in a good hitter's count at 3-1.
Whoops. Cabrera brought back. 3-2.
Iasonia's been calling this pitch all night. It wasn't a strike, but he's been calling it.
And Cabrera shallow center. Lugo out. Pedroia out. Lugo. So the first batter, the biggest batter of the inning, out for Papelbon. And now instead of Vladimir Guerrero, it'll be Mike Napoli. Again, Guerrero leaving. He was hit by a pitch in the 7th inning on the back of his left shoulder, very high up. A fastball from Manny Del Carmen. And Guerrero left the game after the 8th.
You see the 10 home runs, but Mike Scioscia feels that Napoli is going to grow into his power. He's got plenty to reach the left field seats here. Francisco Rodriguez throwing in the bullpen. So the Red Sox have their closer in. And the Angels have theirs loosening up.
The Red Sox will turn their lineup over in the bottom of the 9th, and that's looks why Mike Scioscia is getting his ace closer ready. And because of this series with the days off, both managers told us they wanted to get their bullpens into the game tonight. They wanted these guys to actually get on the field and pitch.
Well, no problem with that, because they've used a lot of help out of the bullpen. The bullpens have been spectacular.
The last hit by the Angels was a single by Mycer Esteuris in the 5th inning off Dice K. No hits allowed tonight by the Red Sox bullpen. They came in the game with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Another pop-up. And again, it's Lugo. 2 down.
Well, that shows you the pinpoint control of Papelbon and the reason why he's got almost a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. He threw all 4 pitches to Napoli on the outer portion of the plate, figuring, look, if you're going to try to beat me, it's going to have to be to the opposite field. Take a look at the location. You see where Veritek wants it. Fastball out away, and nothing Napoli can do with it.
So now, Steve, what would you expect him with Garrett Anderson, left-hand hitter? You throw away and allow him to take a shot at the wall?
I would think so. If I came in, I would come in hard off the plate. And you saw that split finger just disappear. So you've got a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball and a 91 mile an hour splitter. And there was absolutely no chance on that particular pitch in that location for Garrett Anderson.
Nobody's got a real good chance against him. Lefties have had no chance. 104 this year. Lefties against Papelbon. And those first two swings have had no chance looks to them.
Well, again, both splitters and both over 90 miles an hour. Now the fans once again up on their feet.
Anderson had 2 hits tonight. He also had a line drive out to center his last time.
I thought overall Anderson, especially when you consider his eye problems, has swung the bat real well this evening.
And it's his importance right now could not be any greater to the Angels with Guerrero out. The Angels hit over 300 this year at home as a team. They won 54 home games, the most in baseball. They want so desperately to get home with a split, knowing that if they have a game 4, they're going to see Beckett again. The dream would be for the Angels would be to have game 4 up 2-1.
Well, you just as soon not face Beckett in the game that takes you out of the playoffs. Not the way he threw the other night.
Anderson lays off, and now the count full.
Well, he's thrown Anderson 5 straight splitters. There's his tourist in the on-deck circle. If Anderson can keep it alive. Outfield a little deeper than normal all the way around, hoping to cut off the alleys if Anderson does get a base hit.
And Anderson walks. So the very sort of an at-bat that the Red Sox have used effectively tonight on some occasions employed here by Anderson. He fell behind 0-2 and looked hopeless the first 2 swings. Ends up walking. And now is Turris to the plate. You know, everybody starts to look here at the Angels dugout. Would they run for Anderson? I don't know if they could take his bat out of the lineup.
I wouldn't think so. Not with Guerrero already out of the lineup and not knowing how long this one is going to go.
And as Turris, first pitch pop up. So the long battle and the walk by Anderson does not pay off. Papelbon gets his Turris on the first pitch. It's almost a surreal week in Boston. This fall baseball being played in summer weather in the 70s, even past midnight at Fenway Park. We go to the bottom of the 9th in a 3-3 game. A game that started with both teams threatening the other's starting pitcher, and a game that has evolved into both teams dominating with their bullpens. Neither team has a hit off the other team's bullpens. The Red Sox pen came in the 5th inning, the Angels in the 6th inning.
Well, the Red Sox need at least one base runner to make sure that Ortiz comes to bat here in the 9th inning, as Lugo leads it off, and then they'll move to the top.
Justin Spire starting his 2nd inning. And Lugo, first pitch, base hit.
And that's what Terry Francona was looking for, because now barring a double play as he goes through his set of signs, Big Papi will grab a bat. Lugo got this one out away, drove it into left field. He swiped 33 this year, was thrown out just 6 times. And so Cabrera now comes on to talk with Justin Spire, telling him who's going to cover at second base if he gets a ground ball hit right back to him, and who's going to cover in the eventuality that Lugo tries to swipe second.
And the Angels, their Spire throwing over and also trying to see if Pedroia might tip himself.
Well, after the workout yesterday they had on the off day, Mike Scioscia was working with Napoli at getting his feet a little quicker and getting the ball off to second base. That could come in real handy in this situation.
Runner goes. A ground ball to short, so no bunt, but instead the hit and run employed by Terry Francona, and Pedroia does the job. And that's all. A little head nod there by the manager. The rookie did his job.
It is the hit and run, and Pedroia makes contact. The head of the bat goes flying. He's left with the handle, but he's also left with Lugo in scoring position, and that's going to be it for Justin Spire.
So the winning run at second, one out, and it's K-Rod time. Well, we've seen a new phenom closer in Jonathan Papelbon, who's emerged, and 5 Octobers ago, it was Francisco Rodriguez who emerged as he led the Angels to a World Series title.
They also led him at the tail end of the bullpen with 40 saves this year, the ERA at 2.81. He has what some people term as a slider, but to me it's a curveball, and it's one of the best. 90 strikeouts, 34 walks, but the only thing that you have to think about if you're Julio Lugo is the 7 wild pitches that Rodriguez has made this year. Get a good secondary lead, anything in the dirt. You got to wind up at third base with less than 2 outs. And Wednesday night, Kevin Youkilis started it off, taking it up into the monster seats, giving the Red Sox a 1-0 lead.
Well, Youkilis will bat with the winning run at second base. It is Julio Lugo, and 1 man out.
And with as many pitches as Rodriguez throws in the dirt, I would think that they would be trying to keep Lugo very close at second base.
And it is Kendrick sneaking in, the second baseman, trying. Tonight, Youkilis walked in the first inning and scored a run. Big Papi behind him. He's 0 for 3 since. Kendrick sneaking in, and that a little closer.
That was a good solid throw to second base. That throw is right on the money, and Lugo just barely got back. Now the game plan is pretty simple. If you get by Youkilis, you put Ortiz on first base and take your chances with Ramirez.
Pulled foul. So 1-1 to Youkilis. The Red Sox trying for a 2-0 series lead, and what would be a far more comfortable cross-country flight. These teams both division champions. Only 2 wins separated them this year. Only 2 wins separated the 4 American League playoff teams. One and 2.
Not an easy job behind the plate for the catcher or the umpire. Dan Iasonia, the recipient of that. Now you got to watch Lugo carefully. Kendrick will peel away and get back into his position. But you figure a curveball's coming, and you got to keep him close at second.
And K-Rod gets him. Francisco Rodriguez executes the first part of the plan.
Well, the second part is to put Ortiz at first base. This is a no-brainer, and take your chances with Manny Ramirez.
Manny, right. Well, this is what the Angels and their fans remember 3 years ago after the Red Sox took the first 2 games in Anaheim. Big Papi with the series-ending home run in Game 3. That was a night that Vladimir Guerrero hit a grand slam that allowed the Angels to take that game to extra innings. Now, there'll be no at-bat for Ortiz. It'll be Manny Ramirez that will get the chance.
And Ramirez not all that much luck. With K-Rod just 2 for 9. Lugo bluffing going to third base, but really no place for him to go.
Well, Mike Scioscia started this inning with Justin Spire. Obviously, the hope was that he could squeeze as much out of Spire as he could. But the leadoff hit brings Rodriguez in here to face the big hitters. So both teams have got their ace closer in the game, Papelbon. An inning and a third for the Red Sox. And now the Red Sox cleanup hitter, Manny Ramirez, trying to end it.
The Angels did a real good job of making sure that Lugo was held very closely at second base last time. They got to do the same here.
This has been a story tonight. David Ortiz has walked the last 4 times he's batted, twice intentionally. Ramirez in the first 3 at plate appearances following Ortiz's walks, strikeout, walk, walk. Left field, and the Red Sox are winners. Manny Ramirez with an absolute rocket into the Boston night, and the Red Sox lead the series 2-0. The at-bat the Red Sox had looked for all night to make them pay for walking Big Papi, and on the 4th time, Ramirez delivers.
Manny Ramirez has been doing this for a whole lot of years, and that was a no-doubter. As soon as it left the bat, you knew it was gone, putting the Red Sox up 2-0.
Our Chevrolet player of the game for the walk-off, Manny Ramirez. Chevy will donate $1,000 to Major League Baseball's youth baseball charities, Chevy and American Revolution. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning in Boston, and nobody's left, as Manny Ramirez sent one completely out of Fenway over the monster seats off one of the greatest closers in the game.
Well, here's a guy in Rodriguez that has one of the best curveballs in the game, but he tried to sneak one fastball by Ramirez on the inner portion, and that's where it wound up.
How's that oblique doing right now for Manny, huh?
I would say it's just fine.
And the Red Sox win it 6-3. And they take a 2-0 lead to Anaheim. And the Red Sox tonight won it after a shaky start from Daisuke, but their bullpen, the best bullpen statistically in the American League all year, did the job tonight. And then Manny Ramirez delivers the winning blow, and he's with Jose Mota.
Thanks a lot, guys. Manny, I mean, you tell me, you got through these moments before. What makes this one even more special for you?
Well, first, I want to thank the guy, for the talent that he gave me. And I remember today when I came to the clubhouse, Veritek told me, hey, you never leave Boston without a home run. And I told him, you know it. But, every time that we are home, we never give up. We always go out there, play hard, and I guess, we always come through.
One of the things many people don't know is how well you prepare, okay? You've seen so much from David Ortiz. How prepared were you for this particular at-bat?
Oh, I try to prepare every day, just trying to stay with my plan, even sometimes I'm going to fail, but if I'm going to fail, it's going to be with my plans.
One thing for you for sure, you always have a good time. On that particular pitch, you know what you're going to see from Francisco Rodriguez?
Nah, right there, all I'm trying to see, I'm just trying to see the ball and you know, just put a good swing in the bat.
And to do it for your fans here in Boston, how does it feel?
Man, it feels great, man. This is the best fan ever, man. And I know I'm against the clock, but, you know, I love them, man. That's why I came here.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Thanks.
Guys, let's take it back to you.
Well, you could see by where the glove was, Napoli wanted that fastball away, and Rodriguez missed with it on the inner portion, and Manny Ramirez got every bit of that one, sending this full house into delirium.
His 21st career postseason home run. That is only one now behind the all-time leader, Bernie Williams, the former Yankee. And so the Red Sox tonight, pitching, bullpen, extraordinary bullpen work, and then, in the end, Stoney, the one long ball from a big hitter.
Well, we wondered when this series started which team would be able to impose their will on the other. The running game of the Angels, the power of the Red Sox. So far, it's been the power and the pitching of the Red Sox.
And, of course, the last question for the Angels going home, will Vladimir Guerrero be able to play in Game 3? Coming up next, Inside MLB, presented by Captain Morgan. Remember to drink responsibly. Game 3, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific, Sunday here on TBS. For our entire crew, Ted Robinson, thanks for being with us at Fenway. You've been watching TBS, exclusive home of Major League Baseball's Division Series and the NLCS. And now, let's go back to EJ and the rest of the gang in Atlanta.